Rain fell like sorrow from the heavens. It was a bleak Monday evening in downtown Chicago. The city buzzed with expensive umbrellas and the screech of designer heels against the wet pavement. Everyone was in a hurry, everyone except the tiny figure sitting on the cold stone steps of a closed pharmacy. She looked no older than 8. Drenched to the bone, she held a worn baby carrier protectively over a bundled infant who let out occasional, heart-wrenching cries. People walked past her like she was invisible, until Alexander Rowan stopped. He hadn't meant to. The billionaire real estate mogul was only in the neighborhood to inspect a failing property acquisition. Wrapped in a navy cashmere coat, Bluetooth in one ear, and 2 assistants tagging behind like shadows. But then he saw her. Not just saw, felt her. Her eyes. That's what did it. Wide, dark, filled with fear, but something else. Fierce love. For the baby. For survival. And for hope, the stubborn kind that refuses to die, even when everything else has. He stopped mid-step, ignoring the rain dripping from his brow. Hold on. His assistants froze, confused. The girl looked up quickly, her trembling lips parting, unsure if she should speak or run. Alexander slowly approached and crouched in front of her, his knees protesting the motion. He wasn't used to kneeling for anyone. "Where's your mother?" he asked softly. She didn't come back," the girl whispered. "She said she was going to find food, but that was yesterday." His throat tightened. "Your father," her voice cracked. "Dead. Mama said he was shot 2 months ago, in front of our old place." The baby let out a weak cry. Instinctively, the girl tried to calm him, rocking the carrier back and forth. Alexander glanced at the infant, who looked no older than 6 months. Filthy, hungry, shivering. "What's your name?" "Zoe." "And your brother?" "Eli. He's all I got now." There was a pause. His assistants shifted awkwardly. One whispered, "Sir, we should really go back to the car," Alexander said without breaking eye contact with Zoe. "Now." They hesitated, then obeyed. He removed his coat and wrapped it around her shoulders. She flinched at first, then looked at him like he had just done something godlike. No one had touched her with kindness in weeks. "I'm going to help you, Zoe. Okay?" She stared at him skeptically. "Are you one of those people who say that just to feel better?" "Mama said some rich folks like to do that." He chuckled, surprised by her bluntness. "Your mama sounds smart." She was. Before she started falling apart. That night, he took them to the emergency room. Eli was malnourished, borderline hypothermic. Zoe had a slight fever and a bruised rib. CPS arrived within hours, asking questions, trying to place them in temporary housing. But Alexander made a call. Just one. The same kind of call that got skyscrapers built overnight. By morning, both children were staying in one of his penthouse suites under full-time care, monitored by pediatricians and therapists. Zoe didn't trust it. Not yet. She didn't smile much. She watched every move like someone who had learned that nothing good lasted forever. But she took baths. She ate. She slept in a bed with real blankets. And eventually, she asked Alexander, "Why did you stop?" He looked up from his tablet. "What do you mean?" "In the rain. Why did you stop for us?" He hesitated, then said, "Because I used to be you." 26 years earlier, young Alex sat on a church floor beside his little sister, Claire, trying to get her to stop crying. Their mom was passed out in the next room, high again. Their father had vanished years ago. They begged outside gas stations, slept in buses when shelters were full. Claire died from pneumonia the week before her 5th birthday, while Alex was stealing a blanket from a laundromat. He never cried after that, only built. Zoe didn't know that story, not yet, but she started smiling again, and laughing. Alexander enrolled her in a private school under a new guardian agreement. She excelled. Sharp, curious, brave. People began whispering in his circles. Why is Rowan suddenly playing father to street kids? Is this some PR stunt? His mother called from Boston. "Alexander, you need to think about your legacy, your name." "I am," he replied and hung up. Months turned into a year. Then one evening, just after a quiet dinner in his minimalist kitchen, Zoe asked the question that made his hands shake. "Can I call you Dad?" He froze. The air in the room grew dense. His fork clattered onto the plate. Her face fell immediately. "Sorry. I didn't mean to make it weird. I've never had one." He knelt beside her, hands on her shoulders. "Zoe, you never have to be sorry for asking me that. Ever." Her eyes welled up. "You can call me whatever you want," he said, voice cracking. "But if you call me Dad, I'll spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of it." She lunged into his arms, sobbing. For the first time, they both cried. 3 years later, the press called it the Rowan Legacy Project. Instead of investing in a new tower, Alexander launched a $200 million foundation for abandoned children, shelters, schools, legal aid, therapy, the works. No red tape, no waiting lists, just action. He spoke at the launch event with Zoe, now 12, at his side and Eli on his lap. "I don't want praise," he said into the mic. "I want results. Because no child should have to prove they're worthy of survival just to be seen." The room erupted in applause, but Zoe only squeezed his hand. "I'm proud of you, Dad." He blinked back tears. "You saved me first." Final scene. One rainy day, Alexander parked across from the same pharmacy. He got out and stood in the drizzle. Now older, salt in his beard, heart both heavier and lighter. Zoe was in the back seat, now 16 and tall for her age. "Why are we here?" He pointed at the steps. "That's where I first met you." She nodded slowly. "Do you ever wish you hadn't stopped?" He looked at her. "You were the only time I stopped running. I thank God every day that I did." She smiled, then added, "Come on, you'll catch a cold, old man." He laughed and got back into the car, where Eli slept peacefully in the back, holding the stuffed bear Alexander had given him on their first night together. And just like that, they drove off, not a perfect family, but a real one. The kind built by choice, not blood.